Hello friends. So as you saw, it was time to take the adhesive off since they replaced the window. The window was replaced 2 days ago, so I was able to, after letting it sit all day yesterday and then half the day today, it's now been 48 hours and we could work on it. Getting that adhesive off left some few minor scratches. I started using the black rhino one and done. That didn't seem to work. So I pulled out that $1.99 bottle that my daughter found at Ollie's by Shine Armor. And that is called Scratch Repair. So it had a little bit of lift to it. And that made a bigger difference. Then I was able to come back and do the one and done. I used the drill polisher. This is one of those situations where a drill polisher works great. You don't have to worry about the big polisher. The big polisher could have also disturbed this. It's got that crap that holds it in place. But it's good. It's looking good. It's doing good. It looks good. I was able to get those scratches out of here that I had left behind. I don't know if I can get it on the camera. Probably not. No, not going to be able to. Anyway, it is done. Looking good. And now I can call my dad where it's time to take it to the mechanic. And as soon as the mechanic is doing a little sensor replacement, we'll take it back to the car lot and it will be done. I hope everybody is having a good week. So this is the start of the next week after my last video. I still don't have a job, but I'm not fussing right now. I'm just praying a lot and got a lot of hope. But I am also trying to be upbeat, especially when I have some work to do here. Now, about the shop is doing great. We're still struggling to find a place for everything. Still struggling to do everything we need to do. Being limited on the space, we had to kind of rearrange things a little bit when we first moved in. Meaning, in the other shop, we were able to have Dad's workbench on this wall. Well, now it's on the far wall. So what's happened is it's taken space away from what we needed. We have discovered that it's better to do this with one vehicle. So right now the black BMW is at my house. It's safe, it's fine. When it becomes like icy or something like that, we do have to protect the hardtop convertible on the white one. And we definitely want to protect the black one because it's got that paint on it that's just different. Because we didn't paint it with that pinstripe on it or that stripe on it. We added the stripe. So, until it gets on the racetrack, we don't want anything happening. Anyway, long story. What we'll do is we will be able to fit both BMWs in here. So if we get like a hard snow or an ice storm, which is typical for Kansas, we get the ice storms, and then in January, February, and sometimes in March, we get the snow. Anyway, what we'll do is we will bring the BMWs over here. So that's the update on the shop. I really haven't done too much with my stuff. We're still trying to figure things out, all that good stuff, but we will get there. It's going to take some time. We've only been here 2 weeks so far, so we're not complaining. We'll figure it out. It took us 2 years to, make little tweaks here and there over there. We were still doing it until the day we left. So it is what it is. But anyway. Okay, I gotta call Dad. We're gonna take this to the mechanic, and that'll be the end of my day here. Then it's time for me to go Uber. Well, just got off live with Tori, and I thought I could go to sleep, but no. It's the stress of not having work, not knowing how I'm going to pay my bills in a much more organized fashion. Right now I'm doing Uber. We don't live in a huge city, so it's a little more difficult for me to earn the money that I need. And so I'm having to pay them as I go. Fortunately, Tori is paying the phone bill, but that's because I have all of our phone numbers on one plan. So that kind of helps a lot. I do appreciate her for that. But right now, I am still doing the job search. I'm kind of doing things a little different this time. I'm not going to just settle. I guess you could say when I do an interview, I'm going to ask a bunch of questions of my own. That's something that I haven't done up until now. But I want a full-time job. I want one that I can be happy with. I've even applied for a few trucking jobs, but I'm not having a lot of luck there. Now, let me explain why. I do have a CDL. I have been driving for 26 years. However, when you have been out of it for a few years, they don't like that, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I don't want to be in a truck. It is not something that I'm interested in doing. I don't have to do truck driving either. And we're getting ready to go into winter, so it would definitely defeat the purpose if I try to go back local. And I have been off the road for well over 10 years, so it's been 12 years. I would have to literally start over if I were to go out on the road, unless I found a small company that said, here you go. So anyway, I'm going to sit here and have a little bit of coffee, and Jazzy passed away not even a month ago on November 1st, and I still have not cleaned up the cat boxes. I've got a cat box in the laundry room, but I had to have a baby gate up because Bella used to get into it all the time. And Jazzy got to a point where she couldn't jump over it anymore. And so I put a cat box in the hallway, and I would block it off, so Bella couldn't get to it, but Jazzy could get to it, no problem. And so I have not done anything with the cat boxes, and I have not picked up her food and water dish either. So if I'm not able to sleep, I might try to tackle that. I have a tendency to leave things alone until emotionally I'm okay to deal with it. And, that comes in spurts. Anyway, didn't mean for this to drag on, but I wanted to kind of give you an update on what's going on. The job search is a real struggle. This economy is not in the best shape. A lot of people say, oh, but Trump was okay. Here's my smart ass response to stuff like that. Everybody who understands politics, and if you vote, you probably better start understanding. If not, you should probably let that lapse. Just let it go, because I would say generally you're part of the problem. But when this country, the United States, elects a president, their first year is the last year of the previous administration. Okay? So it has been this for a long time. This legislation, this big hotshot legislation, the big beautiful bill, whatever the hell, none of that kicks in until January 1st. So until that kicks in, and until there's been about 1/4 of business under business belt, they're not going to see much improvement until around April. So it's going to be a struggle for a lot of people, and I know that. But I'll just continue to do Uber and pay the bills. But anyway, didn't mean to be a total smartass, but at the same time, maybe that's what we need, is somebody who just puts it out there, straightforward, no sugarcoating it. If you do not understand politics, you shouldn't be voting. I understand you have a right to vote, but you also have a responsibility to that right. So anyway, I'm going to go see what I can do after I have a little bit of coffee. I know my videos since I've been back has been a lot of headshots. And I think a lot of that is because there's not a lot that I can do, without a job. I thought that things were going to be in a really good place the first video, and then all hell broke loose. But until things sort themselves out, this is what you get. I told you in my video last week that I may have to create my own job. And I've been thinking about that a lot. And something that I think would be a fun job would be, and I'll just kind of tell you, is a coffee truck. Just a mobile coffee shop, so to speak. I'm a big coffee drinker, always have been. The only thing I am not a fan of is cold coffee. Cold coffee in me that's not a thing. But having a coffee shop, you have to do that. So with that comes a lot of learning. And with all of this time on my hands, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos. I found one lady, she's in the Philippines, and she's got a lot of great advice for doing something like this. Being a barista, so to speak, is not necessarily a bad thing. Do you see this light? Driving me nuts. Anyway. So I thought what I'd do, I had talked to Scott and I talked to Tori and I even talked to my oldest daughter, Elizabeth. And Scott said, you need to research. And I do want to research. And then I put together a little business plan and things like that. But of course, it's nothing fancy right now. And the only reason why is because everything is so unpredictable. I can't even think about doing this until I can find a truck or a trailer. Well, that's hard to do. You can't just go out and get a loan when you have no job. So it's been a challenge. And I felt like Scott would be the best person to approach with this because he always has a way of getting a hold of some of the coolest deals. You know what I mean? So I'm just watching a lot of videos, and I had originally thought I would clean up after the cat stuff, but as I sit here, I thought, you know what? No, I'm going to work on this list. So I've been working on it. So if you know any investors, send them my way. I'd love for that to happen because I think it would be a winning deal. And it's definitely not that cheap. You know what I mean? I can start pretty inexpensive, but just the permits and licensing alone is insane. I mean, you're talking $1,200 just in the state of Kansas. It's crazy. Well, I've worked on this list about as long as I can. There's only so far I can go until I do some more research, and then I can put some things together in my head. But I'm going to kind of end this video with a few thoughts. This week was also a anniversary of sorts. I've said it before in some of my other videos that, this is the worst time of year for me. Everywhere from September all the way through to Christmas is a very rough time for me. And a lot of it is subconscious. And it's because it's the time my daughter was diagnosed with cancer and fought it and then died. So September 11th to December 12th was her battle. And then Christmas sucks for me. It really does. It just sucks. Anyway, November 18th, my daughter had surgery that year, that night. It was an emergency surgery. And that was when they discovered that the cancer had just completely taken over her abdominal cavity. And they came and got us, and we all had to make the decision to go into hospice care and let her. I just didn't see the need to put her through something that was just not going to work. So anyway, it was the 13th anniversary on November 18th. And, it's popping up on Facebook memories. So once I saw it pop up, I have not opened Facebook since, because that is one of, Facebook is nothing but a place of hell anyway. It is nothing but drama. Oh my God. And then you open up and the first thing you see are your memories from, and one of the pictures, and I'll put it up right here, was the night after that surgery. Becca painted her dad's nails, and that photo had popped up in the memories, and we were really trying not to focus on the worst. We were just trying to, minute by minute, enjoy a little bit of life. And that's the advice that I'm going to give you today. If you're one of those young people out there, just stop the madness for a minute. Don't deal with it. And just look around. Assess your life. Assess your life with an open mind. Don't look at it from a standpoint of, this person is frustrating to me, I'm annoyed at this person. Don't look at it through the lens of childhood trauma and all of that good stuff. You need to just take a minute to look at your life and realize, and it's something that I didn't do. I'm not speaking from inexperience. I'm speaking from experience. I used to look at life through those lenses. And I finally, after my daughter passed away, I started looking at life in a different way. On my good days, I always tried to look at things and say, you know what, it could be worse. And it could be. It could be worse. Yes, I lost a child. But I know people who have lost two. I know people who lost a husband and a child on the same day. So that, to me, coming from my shoes, that's a major double slap in the face with a ball bat. Not even kidding. So look at your life and say, you know what? People have it worse. Because if you look at it that way and you start believing in that, then it helps you to process your bad a little easier. But most of all, step back and look at your life and realize that even through all of the dark and crazy and bad things that we're going through as people, does not mean that there's not good days ahead. It is just temporary problems. Really, the problems that we face in life are all just temporary. I miss my daughter more than life itself. I am not kidding. But I also know that if she were here to talk to me on those days that are the toughest for me, which that day was, because you see those memories and you just look back on that time and the heartbreak that is waiting around the corner, it can be overwhelming even now, 13 years later. But I do know how to laugh again. I know how to smile. I know how to talk about things without crying all the time. It's always temporary. 13 years ago was just temporary to today. Yes, the loss is huge, but things do lighten up, and as Reuben McIntyre said, the world isn't going to stop for my broken heart. And eventually, you realize that. So, we'll end this video with that. Now, let me ask you one last thing. For a prayer, or a good vibe, or whatever you got. Because I really need a job. Or I really need a hand up to make my own job, whatever it may be. Lord willing, something will come along soon. With that, I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. This is Thanksgiving week. So I'm going to give thanks that even though I don't have a job, I still have a roof over my head. I still have my mom, who has been allowing me to use her car so that I can Uber safely. And I'm still getting the bills paid. And I'm still trying to be upbeat, and it seems to be working. The only downside is this lamp is driving me crazy. Thanks for hanging out on my channel, guys. I sure do appreciate it. And until the next video, peace.